Hey everyone, Sandy from Space to Breathe here, and I'm working at the moment on a whole bunch of things around resilience. So I thought it was a good thing to share a few ideas for this week's and next week's 30-minute wellbeing. And what I'm going to do is give you three little ideas to work through from something that's really influenced me, and then suggest you take a little bit of time to go away and think about at least one of them. Now, resilience is an interesting kind of subject because it's one of those things that's a bit like self-care, where we're encouraged to build up our kind of reserves and our ways of doing this. And yet it's not really explained what it is. What does it mean to be resilient? We know when we meet resilient people, people who overcome and come through difficult times, we know when we meet them and there's that certain thing about them. And yet if you're going to package it up and say, well, this is what resilience is, it's quite hard to do. And next week, we're going to think about a metaphor that we use a lot that I find really helpful. But for this week, I want to just share three perspectives on resilient people that we learned from a lady called Lucy Hone, who's a psychologist who lives in New Zealand, in Christchurch in New Zealand, and has shared as a TED talk that she's done online, which is really fantastic. But there's some other resources as well, just about what is it that makes up resilient people. And she did this both from studying situations, but also from personal experiences as well. And the thing is, these ideas are quite achievable. And resilience feels like, I kind of do that. And yet the very fact you're here after everything that's gone on shows that you've got some resilience in you, because you've already been through some lockdowns. You've already got through some of the challenges that have been presented. And whether they have resulted in impacts in your life that's really adversely affected you, you're still here. And there's something in that to encourage us. When lockdown started, I remember setting myself a goal of, I just want to survive, keep going somehow. And I am. And I need to see that and recognize that, and not be disheartened by, oh, crikey, we're in another lockdown, but think, well, I got this far. What is it that's happened there that's helped me? And Lucy Hone's ideas are kind of really simple and straightforward, but I think they're quite profound. And she shares three things that she thinks make up resilient people. Firstly, that resilient people get that difficult times happen to everyone. Tough times don't prejudice. They happen to everybody, rich and poor, like from different walks of life, different ethnicities, different backgrounds. Yes, the things we have, or the positions that we're in, or the cultures that we landed, sometimes mean that we have more reserves to deal with them. But difficulties as a whole affect all people. So resilient people get that difficult times happen to everybody. Secondly, suggests that resilient people are really good at choosing carefully where to put their attention. So when the crap stuff happens, where do I focus? And the idea of looking positively and looking beyond is something we'll explore in a second. And then she says, resilient people ask themselves, is what I'm doing helping or harming me? And that's become like a really useful question that I ask myself regularly. Is this helpful or harmful? And as I said, those three ideas are quite achievable. But what they have in them is something that clicks in when we enable us to see, okay, this thing is happening. Let me get perspective. Bad things happen to all of us. How can I look positively beyond? And then what is a tool that I can take with me as I journey through this stuff? So let me, just drill down into those three ideas for you and try and explore some things that you might do. And what I'm going to suggest is you take the rest of your half an hour to try out one of these ideas. So the first one that she suggests is letting go of the idea of why me. When tough stuff happens, we often ask, well, it's not fair. Why me? Why is it happening to me? And what that does is it makes us feel like we're being unjustly treated, or it victimizes us. Now, again, many of these experiences are incredibly difficult, and it's not to diminish any of them for a second, so many of them make us victims. But why me comes from this idea that difficult times don't prejudice against people. They happen to everybody. And actually, when we begin to unravel and unpack that these difficult times are part of life, the ups and downs of life, we can move forward to them with a little bit more of a sense of, okay, this is happening to me. Let me get some perspective. So she suggests ways to just let go of why me, and realizing that whatever fork in the road that you're facing, you do have choices. It's not unfair. You're not being, this is not the result of, something you've done, or this is just part of life and how it happens. Secondly, she talks about the idea of what you focus your attention on, the idea of positivity and being grateful. Benefit finding is kind of the psychological term for it. Looking at life and seeing things that are good, it changes your mindset. And there's also quite a lot of proof to suggest that this is something that also helps with things like depression and affects us physiologically. But what about finding 3 things every day to be grateful for? Finding 3 things every day to be grateful for. And this thing about looking at helpful or harmful. So asking yourself a question about the things that you're doing and the choices you're making. Hang on a minute. Is this helpful or harmful? I've had a rubbish day. I'm going to go and grab a bottle of wine. Hang on a minute. Is this helpful or harmful? This person who sometimes is can be a troubling influence in my life. They've just texted me. Shall I reply in the way I'm going to? Hang on a minute. Is that going to be helpful or harmful? Shall I make that choice about my life or that my business or my work? Hang on a minute. Is that going to be helpful or harmful? And so there's 3 little, sorry, just press the wrong button. Well done. Tech skills as ever. 3 little ideas just to think about. And in a moment, you just saw it just then, we'll just do a little reflection just to let those thoughts settle. And I'm going to encourage you to think about one thing. So that letting go of why me. If you're feeling that, go and have a walk and just allow that to sit with you and explore why you're feeling that way. Oh, this stuff is happening to me. Why me? It's not fair. And I'm conscious there's a bit of that going on with 2021 right now. People are talking about, like 2020 says, hold my beer, or, the new year started really badly. And the problem is we begin to talk ourselves into things. And then you have, stories about ravens dying in the Tower of London and everything's going to fall down. And we can get a little bit kind of negative. But actually, when we realize difficult times are part of life, it can give us a perspective for when we face difficult times, as many of us are right now. So if that's the thing that grabs you, go and have a walk and just let that settle. The focusing on things and on positive things, being grateful, benefit finding. Get a piece of paper down and write down the things that you're grateful for right now. And almost encourage yourself into that. I'm going to look for good things. And even find out, if you're interested by that, find a practice, try that for a few weeks of just every day, writing down 3 things you're grateful for. There are apps that you can help you with that, or just a piece of paper will make it work. But just 3 things each day, or a few things right now. Try that one for a little bit if you want to. And then thirdly, helpful or harm you. Think about harmful. Think about the big questions you're facing right now, the big decisions or the big challenges, and think, is that helpful or harmful for me? And I can think of a few things that I'm really grappling with right now. And that's a helpful question to say, well, is that going to help me to do that? Or is that going to harm me to do that? Now I'm going to just do a little reflection just to let all of that settle. And it's going to be around the theme and the idea of hope. I'm basically just going to encourage you to do a very simple breathing exercise where you breathe in positive kind of views of your world, and then you breathe out hope. So I want you to just collect all of those thoughts around resilience, and we're going to reflect on the idea of finding hope. So you want to get yourself comfortable. Feel your back on the chair. Just try and relax. And I'm just going to play some music, and I want you to just take some time to find a rhythm of breathing that's relaxed and simple and at peace for you. And then I'm going to give you some instructions in a little while. So just allow yourself just to take some time to breathe in, breathe out. Find a way to just find a really relaxed and natural rhythm to your breathing. What we've thought about is the idea of looking beyond, realizing that things that happen to us, there's no kind of prejudice around that. We can find perspective. So think about where we focus our attention, thinking positively, and then thinking about what's helpful and harmful. And I want to draw that together by just as you breathe in now, just each time you breathe in, think about breathing in positivity, whatever way that feels appropriate to you. But each breath in is like loading you with positivity. I'm going to be positive about what I'm facing. I'm going to be positive about the scenario I'm in and take perspective from that. I'm going to be positive about my choices. Each time you breathe in, just breathe in a sense of positivity. And then just do one really deep breath. Breathing in. Sense of being positive. It's like you're arming yourself, you're equipping yourself. Now I want you to think about the outward breaths and just to breathe out a sense of hope each time. It's like each breath is something hopeful for you. I'm going to be hopeful about the future. I'm going to be hopeful about this situation, about lockdown. So again, each breath out is something hopeful. So you're breathing in positivity and you're breathing out hope. Just kind of let the music play for a while and let you just sit and reflect. Let everything settle with you that we talked about in these few minutes. So hopefully that's helpful. We've thought about resilience in 3 simple steps. About resilient people not feeling that the why me of difficulties, or feeling that there's a sense of prejudice or being picked on about something that's difficult, so not a sense of unfairness. We've thought about resilient people finding a place to focus themselves and thinking about being positive, benefit finding, gratefulness. And then thirdly, we've thought about the idea of helpful or harmful, a simple question that can help us when we're making decisions in difficult times. Take one of those things away and then just reflect on it and come up with some ideas, some actions off the back of it. I'd love to know how it goes. In the meantime, we'll do another one of these next week, and hopefully it's been helpful to you, and we'll speak to you really soon. Take care. Bye-bye.